So here we are. So if you're watching a video or you're seeing a clip and you're like, why is Ryan
so sweaty?
Did Glenn just ask him a really hard-hitting question? No,
maybe. I've
maybe
never done that.
All right. Welcome to Recommendations Required, a podcast where two best friends try to find their next obsession, and maybe so will you. I'm Ryan Mione.
And I'm Glenn Brown.
And welcome to episode 18, our sweatiest episode.
It's a little hot in the studio today.
It's a little sticky, it's a little hot. So we're recording this on a Saturday at the 4-7 office, and I don't know if they have the AC going. And I feel like a little something, but like as I was telling you the other day, if I break a sweat, it's done. Like it's over. And it's like when Jack and I got married, I would like work out and then I would just like sit on the couch for like an hour. And she's like, aren't you going to shower? I'm like,
just got to wait for it to stop.
I just got to wait. Like I'll take a cold shower. It doesn't work. So we were saying, we don't know if that's a good or bad thing.
Yeah.
So
it seems like a healthy thing. People sit in saunas for hours.
I can't do that.
Yeah, that seems horrible to me. Yeah, I'd rather be in an ice bath than a sauna.
Really?
Yeah.
I think I would too. Yeah.
I don't like
I would
heat.
rather
It's
get
very
cold.
uncomfortable.
And it's kind of sticky out, but small talk, weather. Okay.
I didn't even think about it being the weekend in an office building. They probably like turn down the AC, turn off the AC entirely, maybe. I don't know. Yeah.
So here we are. So if you're watching a video or you're seeing a clip and you're like, why is Ryan
so sweaty?
Did Glenn just ask him a really hard-hitting question? No,
maybe. I've never done that.
There was I was playing around also with the idea. I was like, maybe I throw in. Okay, two thoughts.
Yeah.
One is throwing in the intro. A skeptic and an optimist.
Yeah.
Try to find their next obsession, and maybe so will you.
That feels somewhat accurate.
That feels like somewhat, because we're kind of playing these good cop, bad cop.
A little bit. A little bit.
I think there's some better ways to describe it. And the other one was, we're not trying to find our next obsession, because we have found we currently
these
have
obsessions happen to us.
Yeah, and it's so if someone else has a better idea to describe that, I don't know, maybe your next hobby, maybe your next, I don't know what the thing is, but I think that was one of the things I was feeling is
maybe we got to change up the intro a little bit.
Because I think first episode was Magic, or was it Wingspan?
First episode was Wingspan.
Wingspan,
yeah,
which I played some recently. Which I love it.
Who'd you play it with?
Doug, Mitch, and Steph.
Nice.
So my brother-in-laws and then one of their wives. I love Wingspan. I think it was like people were also really getting into it, like a really easy intro board game. So it was like a lot of board games last week. Yeah, last week. We played some Wingspan, which was really fun.
Awesome. That's good to hear. Did they like it?
They did. Yeah.
Was it their first time playing?
Yeah, and it's hard because it's like sometimes you can't tell with someone like whether they're a board game person or not.
Yeah.
But I think Wingspan, like we've talked about before on that episode, was like it's an easy entry.
Yeah, definitely.
To people who maybe aren't that big into board games.
Definitely an easy entry into a little bit more of an advanced board game.
Yeah, like engine builder.
You got like Catan, which is like just super simple and straightforward, but like this like gets you a little bit into more mechanics.
Yes, yeah,
that's super approachable.
So and so the reason I bring this all up was I would say like if it's find our next obsession, it's been Magic. And like we've talked about this before, where it's like we did Magic and then it has been like
it
going
so
on
hard.
for so long.
Yeah.
And it's like, but So it's just I'm interested to think about the wording or intro.
Well, maybe the topics we're bringing up, not everyone is an obsession, but we're finding the next obsession by cycling through these things.
Okay. So we'll keep
so
the
like
intro,
Magic was an obsession, but like.
Isn't an obsession.
Not everything needs to be the obsession. We're finding it.
Yes. Yeah, that's true. We're on the search for our next obsession.
Yeah.
Quick question with that. Do you feel like there's anything... We're on episode 18. We're going to hit 20 soon. That's kind of a big mile marker for us where we're going to start putting it on other platforms. We're going to do kind of a little bit of a, not raffle, but this... a promotion kind of idea that we're playing with. But I'm just curious, kind of looking back, since I also don't have an opener.
Yeah.
And I also feel like we're going to fly through our review and our recommendation.
Okay.
Which might be spoiling one of them. But
okay.
I'm curious, like,
we'll see.
Out of the things that have been recommended, is there anything that you felt was like either you thought you weren't going to like it and you did?
So the biggest surprise.
Yeah.
The biggest surprise. Ooh, looking back. I feel like Welcome to Wrexham was a big surprise for me. I never felt drawn to soccer at all. I was never interested in soccer. I'm not usually a documentary person.
Yeah.
I didn't really understand what the show was at all before going into it, and then watching it just like fell in love with it. It was such a good doc.
I need to catch up on that show.
Man, it was just good. It
was really good.
Yeah. And it just like tapped in to like my soul in ways I did not expect it to.
Welcome to docs.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was thinking about saying magic, but like everyone on this earth could have predicted I'd be obsessed with magic.
Yeah,
like,
it's kind of surprising you didn't come across it already.
Yeah, yeah. The surprise is that it didn't happen earlier. Yeah. What about you? Biggest surprise?
Biggest surprise.
In either direction. Surprised you didn't like it. Surprised you did.
I think Star Wars Vision was a big surprise. I think like that kind
of big upset?
Yeah, a big upset in the sense of like the way you were explaining it. Yeah. I was so I felt like something in me died that might never come back in the podcast because I was so hopeful. And after that I just went, I think there's a lane that I'm not translating that Glenn is asking me to try out. Because then it was Cowboy like shows, like TV shows. Because then it was Cowboy Bebop, which was good.
Mm-hmm.
Then it was Jujutsu Kaisen, which also speaking on the whole optimist and skeptic. I have assumed the role of the villain of this podcast because apparently
a little bit.
Apparently some people are giving me some heat for my opinion.
Apparently some people like Jujutsu Kaisen.
Yeah, and I need to preface this. Like, because I don't like something doesn't mean it is good or not good.
Yeah, it's just something that you didn't like.
That said, Jujutsu Kaisen I didn't like and is also not good.
Oh man, Ryan, you're taking the shovel and digging a deeper hole there, my man.
I mean,
I ain't gonna save you. I'm gonna stand at the top of that hole and watch you dig it.
Okay. I honestly like, and I think like moving forward, I just can't watch animes dubbed. Because I think
Did you watch it? You watched it dubbed?
I watched it dubbed.
Okay.
And I again, like I said, there was like comments on the like Crunchyroll that were saying this is like a horrible anime if you watch it dubbed.
Interesting.
Which is so bizarre to me how that like is such a shift. But
yeah, that's surprising to me because I don't know, this is gonna be a take no one agrees with. But like when I'm listening to the sub, I can't tell if it's good or bad. You know, like I don't understand. Like I can hear some passion in the voice acting.
Like reading a book.
But like I can't determine. I listen to audiobooks pretty much exclusively. But like I can't like determine how good the voice acting is because I don't understand the language. So like I don't really understand how you can compare the dub to the sub unless you speak both languages.
I disagree 100% because it's like you can listen to someone speak a language that you don't understand and you can they can still capture emotion even if you don't understand the words.
Sure.
But then it's like you cut to the English and they like it's kind of one of those things like as you're watching a show, you have to determine is this bad acting or bad writing?
Okay.
Because you're like Star Wars is one of those things, like the first three. Yeah. It's like, this is like a renowned actor and they are just horrible. Like, is this because
it's bad writing
or bad acting? And I think then you bring subtitles in. So dubbing.
Yeah.
So you already like, I've seen like a lot of clips too, where like people are like, will show what what the subtitle was and then what the dub was, and they're just so different.
Oh, I didn't even think about mistranslation.
Yeah.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
So it's like it's
Okay.
mistranslated, so the writing's bad, and then you have bad
Yeah.
voice acting, which I
Okay,
would say
okay.
Jujutsu Kaisen had decent voice acting.
Which I want to say, I understand calling a dub good or bad. I get
don't
that,
get the
but I don't
sub.
get the comparison of, oh, the sub is way better than the dub, or the dub is way better than the sub, unless you speak both languages. Like, I don't understand how you
Nah.
could compare the two.
Because I think with like Attack on Titan, I would say watching Attack on Titan with subtitles is significantly better than watching it dubbed.
I don't understand how you can
But
say
you
that.
also never watch anything with subtitles.
I mean,
When was
pretty
the last
much
time
no.
you watched something with subtitles?
One Punch Man? I
Okay.
watched it subbed.
Yeah, the dub was you can't do the dub.
I don't know why I watched it subbed. I just watched it subbed.
I don't know. I don't know what it is.
I-
I think I just need to never. I think I started watching Cowboy Bebop subbed,
Yeah.
and I enjoyed it. And as soon as I went to dubbed to watch it faster,
Yeah.
I enjoyed it less.
You enjoyed it less.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Man, I'm so interested in why that is. Like, I just have never experienced that.
I think it's
Like Attack on Titan, I watched it subbed and switched to dubbed, and I enjoyed it way more.
I think you're on your own on this one.
I might be. But once again,
I
I,
don't
mean,
think
we
I've-
talked about this last episode.
Yeah.
Once again, like, I couldn't keep up with the subs, so I couldn't enjoy watching
Yeah.
the thing. I was just reading subtitles.
yeah.
So
I get like
it
why
just might be exclusive to
I
me.
get why you would rather watch something dubbed.
Yeah.
I just think that the quality takes a drop when you do.
Okay. I could see that.
Like part of me wants, but the thing is,
Depending on the
thing
anime.
is, I go if I watch Jujutsu Kaisen subbed now,
Yeah.
will I actually have that much different of a
An enjoyment.
perspective on it?
Yeah.
Maybe we should do a test.
Oh,
Maybe I'll watch
maybe
a couple.
we gotta
I'll watch a
test
couple
this.
episodes subbed, and I'll just go like I'll come back and I go, okay, I changed my mind. We'll see. But
This is interesting. Okay.
speaking of voice acting, speaking
Yeah.
of subtitles and good
Yeah.
writing,
Yeah.
Hades.
Yeah. Let's talk about
Okay,
Hades.
let's jump
do
into it. So here's okay.
So Hades, I pitched to you last
Yeah,
episode.
yeah.
It's a roguelike.
Roguelike
On Switch. We played it on Switch.
2.5 kind
Yeah.
of same people who did Bastion and I think it was Transistor. I think was
That
it.
sounds familiar. Yep.
Um
Kind of,
they just are killing
a
it.
dungeon crawler beat 'em up kind of
Yes.
situation. Yeah. Yeah.
I wouldn't say bullet hell, but there's
A little bit of vibe there.
yeah. There's probably like a specific name for it that we don't know.
Roguelike.
So yeah. No. But I mean like the type of combat.
Yeah.
There's I don't know if there's a name for that necessarily. But I think it's been interesting because and this is like going back to what we were just talking about.
Mm-hmm.
You've recommended TV shows
Yeah.
and to be fair, I think all of them have been animated to some level. I don't think you've recommended
I
any
think all of them have
live
been
action.
animated. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. That's an interesting call out.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
And I would say none of them 100% did it for me.
Yeah.
Then you recommended Wingspan, which I loved.
Yeah.
Scythe was a little, but
Yeah,
I feel like I didn't have the full experience either.
Yeah.
Like,
It was only the two of us. Is way better with more people.
and then Notion was a slam dunk.
Yeah.
I loved Hades.
Oh, sweet.
Loved Hades.
Sweet. Love it.
Incredible game. I do want to kind of like process some of the stuff later on as I kind of explain like what I liked about it.
Yeah.
But like I'm not usually drawn to roguelikes, and I feel like, and this is what I'm talking about. I'm like, there's areas where you and I really go the opposite, and then there's
Yeah.
areas where it's like you get it.
Yeah,
Like
yeah.
it clicks and
Yeah.
you make sense, and you're like, I know what kind of game that I enjoy, and I think Ryan's gonna like it. And to be fair, like that's kind of what we vibed over, like as we got to know each other. We're
Yeah.
like games and
Yeah.
movies and stuff.
Yeah.
So there's
That
a
was
little
our thing.
That was
Yeah.
our thing. So I immediately, man, where do I even start with this? I would just say the thing about Hades is there's really not a lot there, in the sense of like they're giving you just a simple, like really small package, but really refined.
Yeah.
So you're not like and I'm gonna say another thing that is gonna get a lot of hate.
Yeah.
The new Zelda game.
Yeah.
I have no draw to play it.
Tears of the Kingdom?
Yeah.
Why is that?
I just like it looks like the first one, but I can build tanks
Sure.
in it.
Sure.
And it's like there's just this little piece like, and I know I haven't really looked into it either, so like throw the hate at me. But like it just feels like this thing where I'm like, it kind of like it feels skewed and kind of out there of like you're just kind of building these things now. Like it feels like the game.
I think that's the meme culture around it.
Okay.
Like,
I see.
You know what I'm saying? Like you're only seeing those things because they make funny memes, but like that's not the entire.
That's
game,
the entire game. Okay.
You know.
Okay, because that's all I'm seeing. And so
I think that's true with the first game too. Is like people would do ridiculous like shield slides and like launch themselves across the map, and that's all you'd see online. But that's not the whole game.
Okay, that's
like,
fair. That's
the
fair.
game has so much more to it.
Okay.
You know.
But okay, maybe a game like Skyrim or a game like Zelda where it's very like
very open. Yeah.
And I think with Hades, it's so. There was this moment where I felt a little restricted.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, this works though. Like this is like. Go ahead. You were gonna say something.
Well, I just love that you said that because I think that's the point of the game.
Yes.
Is your character is imprisoned in hell. It's supposed to feel restrictive and imprisoning and.
And so I didn't beat the game, but I got to the last boss.
Got to the last boss.
Yeah, so there's only 3 rings or 3 worlds.
Yeah.
And then you fight Hades at the end.
Okay, I didn't fight Hades.
So
Okay.
And then that was the other thing. I was like, oh, I don't think Glenn got that far because you're like, oh, there's 4 weapons, and I think there's like 5 or 6.
I think did I say 4?
I
thought there were 6.
There's the sword, spear,
Yep.
shield, fists, bow, gun.
Mm-hmm. I saw all those.
Okay.
Yeah. I guess there's 6. I got to the point where you got to like the boatman's like hangout zone.
Oh, the like fiery one.
You get like a break room, where you can like buy like a big break room where the dog is sitting. And like you get to buy a bunch of stuff, and then you go into like little mini dungeons.
You didn't get past that one?
No, I didn't get past that yet.
That's like the easiest one.
I keep getting stuck in those like little tiny rooms that
took me like 2 minutes.
Oh yeah, I didn't get past that yet.
Maybe I
didn't push that hard into it. So yeah.
First off, what's your favorite weapon?
Yeah, that's what I wanted to ask you. Is I think I'm pretty split between the spear and the shield. Those were my 2 favorites that I alternated between. Especially, I feel like it depends on like where you are in the upgrade process for all of them because they all like change pretty significantly once you upgrade them. The shield, I got an upgrade that allowed it to like ricochet between enemies, and I was like, oh yeah, I love this. You can just fire that thing off and watch it bounce around the room, just destroying everything. And then with the spear, I got one where you launch it out and then it on its retrieving, like when it comes back to you, it deals more damage. So I'm just like feel like I'm ripping through people.
Did you get
like,
that one upgrade where you throw the spear and it explodes?
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. So great. So the weapons like just get better and better.
Yeah.
What was your favorite?
I would say spear. Okay. Like by a long shot. Like
it just feels great.
Yeah. I was doing the sword at first. I was like, this is rough. Like I suck with this thing. Fists were pretty cool. What was it? The fist had this thing too where you did like this uppercut, and if you killed someone with the uppercut, they gave you health. So, like, that was a nice little thing.
Yeah, it was cool.
But I liked things with distance. I had some fun with the bow.
Yeah,
too.
The bow I would say is my like next third. I think any of the like melee weapons where you have to be right up on top of enemies, I didn't really like because I felt like it made the game really hard for me. I'm not good at games like this. Whereas the distance, it's like, oh, I can just stay away from
like
everyone.
the Hydra boss. It's like
getting up on something
distance
is really hard.
Yep.
Yeah, so you need that distance.
I just like I don't really have anything bad to say about it. I loved the voice acting. I felt the same thing where it was like you would like get there, you'd be kind of upset, but then you'd be excited to talk to people,
right?
And, like expand that.
Like even losing felt like, oh, sweet, I get to go talk to Achilles and
exactly. And like at first, I didn't realize that like you only got prizes after the first one, like first gift you give them because you like give them gifts and stuff.
Yep.
So I was like giving a bunch to Achilles at first. And then I was realizing like, oh wait, I need to spread this out.
Yeah.
So like
you want to give one to everyone.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I like want to talk more about it. I just
Yeah.
don't have anything like
Bad
to
to say
add
about
or
it?
negative to say about it. Or
I mean,
and to be fair, like nothing was also like blowing me away.
sure.
It
sure.
was just like it was great art. Like everything was just
Everything was
done
just solid.
really well. Was
Yeah.
solid. Like
It's fun.
the mechanics were great. When you died, it wasn't like I think also like keeping it. I think the one thing is like when I got to Hades, and who knows, like maybe I'll kill Hades and there's actually more
Yeah.
to do. But like when I killed Hades, there's this piece of me that felt a little bit like, or like got to Hades that I felt like, oh, is this like it? And
Wait,
like
I feel like I fought Hades. Now I'm misremembering.
they're like outside.
yeah.
There has and this is
Okay.
like
yeah.
a horrible review because neither of us have finished the game.
I'm really curious. I guess we can speculate. I guess for the end of the game,
Yeah.
then I'm really curious to see what happens when you actually break out and
Yeah.
you're like in the real world and possibly make it to Mount Olympus. Like,
Yes.
I'm wondering if the whole game is like kind of hyping you up that like all the gods up in Mount Olympus are like perfect, like awesome people to hang
Yeah.
out with, and like they're like, oh, like
But,
come
like, you
come hang out with
see-
us. But
you
then
get to
every
see
once
a
in a
little-
while,
yeah.
it's like, hey, like I want you to do my bidding.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah,
like
yeah.
it's very clear as you play the game that they're using you to some degree for something.
Yep.
And I'm really curious to see if the end of the game addresses like you going to Mount Olympus, and then it's like, oh wait,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
this might suck, you know,
Yep.
like they're all very fake, like
Yeah.
you just
Well,
like
there's
use you
a
and
piece of
abuse
me
you
that
kinda
like
people.
as you're getting to know the gods more, you're kind of like I'm kind of on Hades' side a little bit.
Yeah.
Because you're kind of seeing their
Yeah.
superficialness and they're just like
and
how
they're
pompous.
backstabbing.
Yeah,
and-
exactly.
Yeah. And I'm wondering if you like kind of rectify your relationship with Hades and like
Yeah.
go back or something
Yeah,
like that.
who knows?
Yeah.
Well,
That'd be cool.
once we beat it, once one of us beats it, we'll
Yeah,
have to like talk about it.
yeah,
But I just
yeah.
like that it might be something moving forward is like recommending something that the other person has finished at least.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
part of me is like, am I just halfway? Am I actually a quarter way? Like how far did I make
it's
it?
hard to tell in this game how far you are.
Yeah,
it feels
exactly.
like it just keeps opening up more and more. The only thing you have to tell how far you are is like how many unlocks you have in something.
Yeah,
like whatever.
that mirror.
Yeah, the mirror or even the weapons and stuff. You start to get a gauge for like how far you are in those unlocks. But
Yep.
even that, like you could unlock a ton of them without getting very far in the dungeon. You've
Yes.
just done a ton of runs
Yeah.
that are really short.
Yeah.
Um,
I love the chaos mechanic where you could go into the chaos world.
go into the chaos world.
You got those like black portals that you can jump into.
Oh yeah, yeah,
And then you talk to
yeah.
chaos
And
and,
you're talking
and
to
it gives you a
chaos.
negative, but if you can deal with it long enough, then you get a positive.
Positive, yeah.
Such a fun mechanic.
I feel like the game was really good at introducing you to the basic mechanics of the game, and then they just keep providing more and more layers of like here's a new mechanic and a
Well,
new mechanic and a new
and that's-
mechanic.
and that's the thing is,
that
like-
don't feel overwhelming.
Yeah, and that was the thing. I was like, I don't know if they really expand mechanics to like it. Maybe it's to your point. Maybe it's that they did such a good job of introducing new stuff without overwhelming you. But like, it also felt like if I listed everything out, it's not that much. But I think it's
I feel
actually
like
I
there's
think
a
it's
lot
actually to
going
your
on.
point is
Yeah.
that they do such a good job of doing that you're like, oh yeah,
Yeah.
you can jump in the portal, and then you can buy stuff. And then you can also sell your thing. It's like, oh wait, and then you can upgrade the trinkets, and then and you
Yeah.
keep going and going. You're like, oh wait, hold on, there's actually is a lot.
You're
but
like
it just
equipping artifacts to yourself. You're upgrading in the mirror. You're choosing weapons and upgrading different weapons.
Yep.
You're hunting down different boons that are
Yes.
applying things. You're making deals with chaos. You're buying things from the shop.
yep,
like
yep.
there's a lot
there's a
going
lot.
on. Yeah.
Relationships and
And how all those are interacting with each other.
Yeah.
You know, because you might like come across a boon and it'd be like, oh, like, or you have the option between two boons and it's like, oh, this one's really good with the spear specifically.
yeah.
But it's not it. But this other one's
Or
not good with the spear, so
this
I
one-
have to choose this one, even though I kind of like the other one, but I
Yep.
need the shield for that boon.
or
you know?
this one seems not that great, but also I have if I get it, then I can move the whole fate aspect
Yes.
of it too. So there's
Yeah.
that. Like
Yeah.
I think that was cool too. Is like I would go in with a different weapon and really feel like I had to play completely differently.
Completely
and
differently,
and
yeah.
I think
It's
that
totally
was the
different game.
big like deciding factor for me when I was like, okay, this is a really good game because
Mm-hmm.
sometimes you like there's like certain abilities you get or certain weapons you get and you're like,
Yeah.
you know, but I was
Yeah.
like, I would use the sword. I'm like, oh, this is really great against these enemies that when I use the spear are kind of a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
And so it was
Yeah.
like, that felt cool when that clicked. But like, I don't feel like I have anything.
Did you upgrade in heat at all? Apparently that's a thing that I never got to.
Heat.
Yeah, I think eventually when you beat the game, you can choose to like do it again with an upgraded heat counter, and basically just everything gets harder, but you can keep upgrading all your stuff.
Kind of like a prestige.
Yeah,
almost.
kind of like a prestige sort of situation,
no,
and that's like unlimited. Like you can just keep heating up, and like the first dungeon you walk into will just be as hard as the final dungeon when you were at like heat 1 or something.
That was one thing that I did feel. I think like I got to the one with Cerberus, and it was like not challenging at all.
Interesting.
And to me, that's where I was. I think this is like the one.
Maybe you just had a really good,
In
like,
very Ryan fashion,
going.
here's the literally only thing that I could like
hit me.
was like first one, you're learning the mechanics, you get it, and you're like, okay, like these guys are annoying, but now I know how to deal with them. And then you get to the second one, you're like, holy crap, there's like a lot more going on here with the enemy, like more enemies with shields and the fire and explosions, and it's like this is really hard. And then you get to the like
the third one,
I don't know, like forest grass, like
greenery,
and it's all like warriors and stuff.
Yeah,
and it's like, whoa, this is, I got to play differently. Once I kill them, I have to kill their like little spirit thing, or they come back. I'm like, very cool mechanics. And then like
and you have like door choices, stuff like that.
Yeah, and it's like it felt like each one brought a new kind of, not just a new concept, but a new challenge. And then I got the Cerberus one, and it was like, I got there, and then I like fought a thing. Like I did a couple rooms, and then it was like, oh, tap this to like purge yourself of poison. And I was like,
they introduced poison, and I didn't like it.
And I was like, what is? I don't even know what this is. And then I found the thing, and I gave it to the dog, and I moved on. And then it was also there were all these things to buy,
what I was doing wrong there.
all these things to do, and I was like, what am I missing? And then I got to Hades, and then he just kicks my ass.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, so I have to do these 3 levels, which to me all felt really building up to something cool.
Yeah.
And then I was like, this like
this weird break,
weird Cerberus break that like I liked the concept of you need to go to all these rooms and find something.
Yeah.
But I don't know if it's just like my playthrough. I just felt kind of like these aren't really challenging.
It was a weird pause.
This isn't really like introducing like a new, like introducing a new challenge to say, now you have to worry about the environment. Now you have to make sure that just because you beat them, you have to make sure that they don't come back.
Yeah.
And like and I loved how each one like the spear one would be really great on like the second level, the fiery level.
Yeah.
But like not as advantageous on the third level. So like that was something that was really cool. I was like, okay, I'm kind of cruising through the first one pretty quickly.
Yeah.
So where am I going to get stuck? Where do I need the most help? And is actually bringing the spear going to help? So like that's so cool. But and then I felt like I got the Cerberus one, and maybe I'd feel different if I played through that level like 6-7 more times to get to Hades.
Yeah.
Then I'd be like, oh, this is the thing.
Because I felt like it took me a while to get past that. So maybe you just had a really good setup that you were able to rip through it real quickly.
Yeah, And you know, maybe it's RNG or whatever.
Yeah.
So but I loved it. I want to keep playing it.
I'm glad to hear that.
I definitely like want to see how it ends. I don't know if like it's weird because I think I've played roguelikes in the past, and I'm like not the biggest fan of them. But I think this did just a good enough job of saying we're gonna make you feel stronger.
Yeah.
And you're gonna get a little of that like dopamine hit.
Yep.
And then when you die, it's gonna make it feel like not like unfair or not like you like, just couldn't do it. It's
you like knew what you did wrong and like what you wanted to change for the next run.
Exactly.
And it had the added bonus of like this really good like character interaction narrative going on. Yeah. So when you got sent back, it's like, oh man, that sucks. But now I get to talk to this guy and we'll see what's up with him. You know, like it just like keeps you going and like it doesn't feel so like degrading when you lose or something.
Yeah, like a Dark Souls or something.
Yeah, yeah. It's not so soul crushing. When you get
yes,
sent back.
I would agree.
It feels like even though you're getting sent back, the narrative and the skill building is still moving forward.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
So out of 32 teeth, because we still haven't had a guest episode. Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
It's hard because I'm trying to like. I'm gonna say 26.
That's pretty good. Okay.
Yeah, I'm gonna say 26. Like, it's a solid game. Okay. Oh, so yeah, I'd say 26 teeth out of 32 for this game.
Yeah.
Here's something else I think that was cool about it was every time you picked it up, there was this comfort that I don't know how to explain it. It's like how do I explain this? It quickly gave me that feeling of like picking up an old game, if that makes sense.
Like picking it up felt a little nostalgic for some reason.
Yeah, and it felt like
I could understand.
And
that.
it's like I think it's like because there's this character growth happening. Like you're attached to these characters. Yeah. You're like kind of excited to try something new, and it did this great job of going like I feel comfortable playing this game, but I also don't know everything that's here, and I want to try stuff because I feel comfortable. Like I had the spear, and I was like, I feel like I'm kicking ass with the spear. I'm like, but I want to try something different. I'm like, I want to explore, and I think that's the feeling is like as soon as it sends you back, you keep returning to the same spot, and you're like, ooh, let's try something a little different. And it's like I think it did a really good job of promoting not just moving forward. Yeah. Or I would go, I'm not even going to try to get that far. I'm just trying to get gold, or I'm trying to get those shadow points or whatever. And so it's like there was just something about picking it up. Just I don't know what it. It did something for me.
I might be reading too much into it. Okay. But like the story is about a teenager like defying his parents and trying to break out and do his own thing and like. Explore different possibilities is like that maybe why it feels a little nostalgic because it like reminds you of you being a kid and like trying to find your own way and like break away from your parents.
I think it's something about the mechanics and the way it sends you back to return to a place. Like, okay, you might not understand this reference because it's about World of Warcraft.
Okay,
but like there's a city in World of Warcraft called Stormwind.
Okay.
And it's like the big capital for the alliance or this like team. And like you almost always have to return there for some reason to like go to the auction.
Gotcha. Okay.
Or whatever.
It's and like the main hub.
And every time you walk in, there's this huge walkway with these statues and it plays its theme song. And like there is this feeling of like I'm back home and it's this nostalgia and familiarity. And then you like go out into the world and do this thing, but you always got to come back.
Gotcha.
And like once you do, it's like if you like play that song, I'm like I feel that same sensation of like I'm coming here to like not fight, but to like upgrade and buy and trade so that I can go out. And I think like that Hades captured that feeling of like I'm gonna fight and I'm gonna try this thing and then I have to come back to my home.
Yeah.
And like. So I'm really interested, especially in that sense. How does it end?
Yeah. We've talked about it so much, but what did you think about the humor in the game?
I thought it was good.
Did you appreciate it?
I really liked
I thought
the skeleton
it had some
guy.
fun moments. Yeah.
I think it did a perfect job of like playing into the humor of Greek mythology and the ridiculousness of it, without it being too tongue in cheek.
Yes,
and
too distracting.
And it was good writing. Yeah. I thought like all the gods were really like well like portrayed in a way that was like entertaining and
they're like just over exaggerations of themselves enough.
Yes,
where
exactly.
It's like fun and
I have like no gripes on any of the writing. I was a little worried when it's like, ooh, this like emo kid, teenagers trying to, and I never felt that way. Like I was like, like I don't know, it just hooked me like so quickly.
Okay,
so like
sweet.
I really have no gripes other than that one little thing. And I think that's more of like, I can't gripe on it until I beat the game.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, I didn't really.
Maybe it makes more sense.
Maybe it feels different going through it a couple times.
Yeah.
So
cool.
What did I say? 2017 teeth?
26 teeth.
26 teeth out of 32?
Yeah.
Hades, great recommendation.
Sweet.
I'm super happy with it.
Yeah. I'm glad I'm getting better.
No, and not
Yeah.
getting better. I think this is something
We're
when it comes to
honing in. We're
games.
honing in.
When it comes to games, I think we're both on
Yeah.
a similar.
I feel like video games are an easy
Yes.
pick for both of us.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
My recommendation
Yeah.
is a board game.
Oh, it's a board game.
It's a board game.
Okay,
So,
not what I expected. Not any of my guesses.
Yeah, well, I should have had you guess, but let's just get into
That's
it.
okay.
It's a board game.
Okay.
It was made in 2018. It's
recent.
it's asymmetric.
Okay.
Which
okay. I like asymmetric.
We're gonna dive deep into a hole in that, and just on that
Okay.
aspect. Designer is Cole Werrell,
Mm-hmm.
Kyle Farron, and then publishers are Letter Games, LEDER.
Mm-hmm.
They did release like a new game, all like that trio.
Okay.
So I think before I just like tell you what it is.
Yeah.
So people rave about this game.
Are you sure I haven't played it before?
Have you played Root?
I have played Root.
You have played Root?
Yeah, I have played Root.
A. When?
I think, right?
No. I've never played it.
Oh, am I thinking of a different game? Hold on. Oh, I'm thinking of Everdell. I haven't played Root. I haven't played Root.
Heart attack, dude.
That would
I
have
had
sucked,
such
right?
a heart attack.
That would have sucked.
Oh my gosh.
I'm sorry to scare you. No, I haven't played Root. I was thinking of a different game.
Oh my gosh.
I was thinking of a different game. No.
That-
I've been wanting to play Root.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay,
No,
so-
yeah. Sorry. Keep going. Root. Let's do it.
Thank you first for saying the name, like asking me to say the name because I forgot I didn't even say the name of it. Okay, Root.
Root. Yeah.
This game
Have we talked about it on the podcast before?
We
I feel
must
like
have a little
It
bit.
might have come up like
Like-
during Wingspan or something.
So I have never played. I had Root given to me either for my birthday or Christmas,
Okay.
and I never then had played it since. The rules felt really complicated.
Yeah.
I was trying to figure it out. Last week when I went on the retreat with like everybody, we ended up playing Root, and we all sat there for like several hours trying to figure out this game.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a little
The
complicated.
game Root is not that complicated. What is wild about it is that every player is playing a completely different
game. Yeah.
and
yeah.
it's such a level of it's such an asymmetric game on such a deep level that it's like we're gonna play it after this podcast, and I wanted to leave enough room that we could play multiple rounds,
and play different
like characters and factions.
They're all playing their own game, really, right? Like
Yes.
All the factions are like animals.
So okay, yeah. So the whole concept of this game is that you have this woodland area with these little clearings.
Yeah.
And you move between these clearings and try to every faction has a different way of scoring victory points, and then once you get to the 30 victory points, you win the game. Mm-hmm. Which I'm not usually a big fan of victory points. I think there's just this feeling of and then I win.
We needed to count something, so here's victory points.
A little bit,
Yeah.
yeah. But they have also a way of they have some cool stuff around that too.
Okay.
So where the factions come in is every faction gets points a different way, and then they also fight differently and they move differently. So what we'll do for this is and I'll just throw this in here too. I think the design, the art on this is next to Wingspan.
Sweet.
Like
okay.
like
cool.
it's
I really
it's
appreciate
coherent,
that.
it's beautiful,
Yeah.
it's super fun. It's
It's awesome when you can feel the love that's put into the
yeah,
art.
there's
you know?
you open up Wingspan, you're like, ooh, I just want to feel,
so
I just want to look at
tactile.
all the pieces,
Yeah.
and Root is a very similar feeling. In
Okay,
fact, that's
cool.
what drew me in was oh, this is really cool.
Can't wait.
The one thing I do want to say about Root is you go, oh, it's this cute animal thing. It's it is very cutthroat, tactical.
Yeah, I've heard this.
Warfare game,
Yeah.
and I'm here for it. I love it, but I just need to if someone's oh, this seems fun, for the family, yes.
Yeah.
Just know, there's a lot happening here.
I've heard one of the factions, I think it's beavers or something, are basically hired mercenaries.
Okay, and that's the other thing. So we're going to be playing with the original. There have been
okay.
several expansions.
Okay, that's cool.
You have the beavers, which they're weapons tradesmen.
Okay.
So they go up and down the river, and
Yeah.
they're basically they sell you weapons.
Okay.
But if you do too much selling with them, then they become powerful.
Now, weapons. like sticks and stones?
No,
or
like swords,
handguns.
No. And that's the other thing. It's all medieval kind of vibe. So yeah,
okay.
medieval woodland kind of Game of Thrones-esque feel to it. So I won't go into all the other factions. We'll just talk about the ones in the original one.
Yeah.
So it's the Vagabond,
Okay.
which is a raccoon.
Okay.
We'll get to that in a second. The Woodland Alliance, which is basically a revolution, and you spread a rebellion through the forest.
Okay.
You have the Eerie, which are these kind of radical birds that like you have to follow a certain thing of like how to play with them, otherwise you go into despair. Or
sounds so wild.
and then
already.
there's oh gosh, please don't name me, Marquesque the cat, and they're like revolutionists. So they're like, or not revolutionists, like they're very industrial. They're all about building up factories.
Industrialists.
And industrialists, thank you. And they like start off controlling most of the map.
Okay.
So that's the thing. They start off like with the highest, like they have the most military right off the bat. They have like a keep, and they care about like supply lines.
Yeah.
So it's all about keeping the different things built out. Where the Eerie, you basically every turn are given a new rule of what you have to do on your turn. And if you can't do one of those things, then like there's a name for it, but like there's an upset to them.
Okay.
So it's basically like you can become extremely powerful because you just keep getting to do more stuff each turn. But if you can't do it,
you fall behind.
you fall, like you can actually like lose points, and there's the whole thing with this.
Okay.
The Woodland Alliance, which is the only, and I've only played this game once, and I'm just like, I'm obsessed with it. I want to play more of it, and I want to try everyone out.
Yeah.
The Woodland Alliance is like you have little to no military, like you are mostly defending, but you do this thing where as you spread your alliance, if you want to build a base, you basically can nuke that clearing, kill all of the like other pieces in that area to build a base. And so there's so much flavor where it's like you play the cats and you're kind of you have this feeling of like, I gotta think about my industry, and I need to build these like military units to kind of protect these key locations.
Yeah.
And then if you're the Woodland Alliance, you're kind of like, okay, I'm gonna spread the revolution here, and then we're all gonna pop up and like attack. And it's like the flavor to this game is so good.
Okay, so the mechanics are like working well with the like story kind of thing.
And that's the thing with like the Eerie, the like birds, where it's like the idea is you have like 4 or 5 different things you can do. I think it's like recruit, build, move, and combat. And then it's like you put a card behind one each turn, 1 to 2 cards behind one each turn. And then you go through that and do it, which means like you could, on each turn, you could recruit 5 people.
Yeah.
So you can just start pumping people out and get this ball rolling that's like insane, but you have to be able to do these things. And so you have to think as you're fighting, can I get to that landing in order to build a thing there?
Yeah.
Oh, I need to. So it's and then here's.
So you're thinking moves ahead.
Yes.
A little bit like little wingspan, little scythe. They kind of do those things too, where like you need to plan based on your next move and the turn after that, as well as this one,
and reacting to people.
Yeah.
And then the Vagabond, you only play as one person.
Oh.
And you don't have a side, and you can move through the map. There's a whole mechanic where you can only move to a clearing that you control.
Yeah.
Like, you can only move to a clearing that, how do I explain this? You can only move to a clearing whether you control the clearing you're in or the clearing you're going to, or both.
Okay.
The Vagabond doesn't apply to that rule, and the Vagabond can jump in and out of the forest. And what they do is they basically get equipment that they trade with other factions, and then can decide to backstab them or work with them.
Interesting.
And it's everyone hates the Vagabond because they think it's really overpowered. I want to try playing it so bad because it just seems so fun and different.
It seems like a role where you really need to know the game, or at least played it a couple times before you play that role.
I don't know, because the person that was playing Vagabond last time in our game when we were all first trying it was like doing really, really well.
Okay. I feel like it's pretty rare for games to have different win conditions for each faction or player or whatever it is, just because it's really difficult to balance. Like, it's really simple to balance Catan because you're all doing the same thing and getting the points the same way. Even Scythe, which is super complicated and the different factions have different abilities, they're all getting the same victory points from the same location.
Yeah.
But it's so tough to balance a game where you're getting victory points because of A and I'm getting victory points because of B. But A and B can happen at the same time. Like, they don't even need to conflict with each other at all. And now it's just a race. It's not a fight. We're just like we're doing a sprint.
But then it's cool because in this, because the things are so different, I can go, I'm going to do this thing that will be really advantageous to me.
Yeah.
Or I'm going to do this thing that's slightly less advantageous for me, but is also harmful to you.
Yeah.
And then you start when you start thinking about that, and there are so many threads and it's so, in my opinion, so political.
Yeah.
Because you not only do you have these kind of three factions battling for this woods, and then this fourth faction that's like this absolute wild card that can be extremely helpful to you.
Yeah.
Or show up at a location and wipe out everyone. You're just like, I don't know what to do. It's like there's so many moving parts to it. But
the first comparison that jumped into my head was like Mario Kart, where it's a race, but you're constantly getting hit by each other by like random objects.
Absolutely. Yeah. Except if everyone was kind of running a different race completely.
Yes. They're all different finish lines going in different directions.
Yes. So it's like you can look at a board and you go, oh, the cats are totally winning. And then, like, all of a sudden, the revolution spreads like wildfire and starts blowing up bases. And it's like they're kind of these terrorists a little bit. And, but the victory condition's interesting that you brought that up, because there's one mechanic that I think is really, really cool. And it's that you can get these cards called dominance cards. And basically, if you have, so you need 30 victory points to win. If you have at least 10 victory points, you can take your token off the scale and play a dominance card. And now the only way you can win is by controlling certain territories or by having certain things.
Oh, so you just change your win condition entirely.
So again, to then add another layer to it, you can say, wow, I'm really behind.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm not going to go for victory points.
I'm just going to
go for this dominance. And everyone's like, we now have to change our whole mechanic because you are almost there and now we have to stop you.
Yeah.
And so all of a sudden there's this thing that starts to spin out of control. And the vagabond can join up with someone with the dominance. So they can basically say, hey, you know what? I've been on my own.
Yeah. I like that dominance thing.
I'll jump on with you.
I'm in.
All of a sudden, the vagabond which is so great because the vagabond can say, I think maybe I'll be more powerful with the person that's doing the least.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe they're in the lead. Like the dominance card could show up, and the people who are behind all of a sudden can just start skyrocketing to victory. So it's just there's I think, and that was like my thing with victory points.
It's like so chaotic.
It's really chaotic. It's really fun. It moves fast. And there's different.
Interesting. Okay. Yeah. How long is a game?
It's like an hour.
Oh,
hour and a half.
That's really good pacing.
Yeah.
I pictured it being well into 2 hours.
That's the reason I wanted to recommend this game to you, because I feel like with a lot of strategy games that are this in depth, you gotta sell everyone on sitting down for several hours to play one game, and especially when you're like learning.
Too chewy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think that's like there's a lot of stuff that's similar to Scythe. Like I would say probably like out of the board games but super like long. This feels so. They commit to the isometric feel. They commit to this idea of like you're all playing the same board, but you're playing 4 completely separate board games.
Yeah,
and like they commit to that idea, and it doesn't feel
super long and drawn out.
Yeah, and people can. And the thing I love about the dominance card and the vagabond like partnering with them is like sometimes with victory points, it feels like a race.
Yeah.
And I love that you can say, I'm actually behind. There's always a way to come back.
I'm going to change the rule now.
Yes, exactly. So it's like,
stay on your toes.
And that's the thing is, if they play that dominance card, that's only they can win that way. It's not for everybody else. So it doesn't change the whole. It just changes how they win the game. So then you're like, I still got to get these victory points, but I also have to stop them.
Yeah.
And then maybe you and I are now going to work together to stop it.
It's like a blue shell.
Exactly. Exactly. It is like a blue shell. So
okay, cool.
I'm trying to think if there's any. And that's the thing I would say is like,
is this a game, just thinking
Yep.
of our listeners now,
Yes.
is this a game you need a certain amount of people for it to be good?
you can play anywhere for 2 people.
Okay. 2 and up?
I've only played with 4.
Okay.
And I specifically invited 2 other people to come tonight
Yeah.
to play with 4 because I
Sounds
want to
like
see
a lot. The more people you can get, the more
Yes.
fun it's going to be because you have more people to interact with.
yes. And I'll say this: what's nice is they say, hey, if you're playing with 3 people, we suggest these combinations
Oh, that is nice.
because it's
Yeah.
like they're thinking ahead, saying
Because like the
hey,
Vagabond sounds way more fun
with more people.
with more people.
Yeah.
So like you don't want to do a one-on-one and one of you's the Vagabond. That doesn't make any sense.
Or I think it's like the cat, the Woodland Alliance, and the Vagabond like is not a great combo.
Yeah.
because it's like the Woodland Alliance isn't like super. They don't feel super present.
Gotcha.
But
okay.
and that's the thing I would say with this again that I need to like was such a reason I loved it was the flavor.
Yeah.
And it's something that like is so present in Magic.
yeah,
Where
definitely. Yeah.
the name of it, or if it's referencing something, how it affects the game feels kind of flavorful.
Yeah.
And it's like,
Yeah.
I'm very interested to see.
I
like,
don't
the
know
little
what
stuff
it is about that, but I love it. I just love it so much. Like I just built a new Magic deck that's like centered around archers.
Yeah.
But like the mechanic is that they like can tap at like during other people's
Yeah.
turns to like fire arrows at people,
Yep.
you know, and like just hail barrages of arrows down on people whenever I want them to. And I just love that like that synergy between
Yes.
the mechanic and the theme, you know.
I think
I think that's why I loved Hades.
yes.
Is because you're getting that like the story of you breaking out of hell works so well with the mechanic of dungeon crawling.
even
you know?
the boons, right? Like
Yeah.
how the boons act.
Like everything is just so synergized that way.
I think like to kind of even like bring it like to reduce that to the most simplest form.
Mm-hmm.
It's why I think I'm more drawn to chess than I am to checkers. Chess, there's a story.
Yeah.
Take out the king. The knights move a certain way. The rooks
Yeah.
move like while it doesn't like also make a ton like
It's like super
there's
simplified,
just enough
but-
flavor there.
Yeah.
Where checkers is like these are just pieces. Do the thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
And like, I think when you add just even a little bit of flavor, there feels like there's a story happening.
Yeah,
and that's what
definitely.
I'm drawn to. So,
yeah.
oh my gosh, I
like
literally
it.
had such a heart attack when you said you played Root.
I'm
I have my
sorry.
next
That was-
recommendation locked and loaded.
That was honestly unintentional.
and I was thinking, like,
unintentional.
where the hell did he play Root?
No,
Like,
I was thinking
think I'm
of,
the only one that.
I was thinking of Everdell, which have you played that?
That's like Dean.
No.
I've heard a little bit about.
Everdell is like a forest themed
Okay.
animal. You're collecting food to build
Just
an
kidding.
animal empire
Does it
kind
have
of
a
thing.
tree?
Yeah.
Okay,
So
yep.
it is they seem really close to each other in my head because
Yes.
I haven't played both of them yet. So I thought you were talking
I've seen
about
that. This is it's a very different game.
Yeah, I'm sure
Yeah.
it is. Yeah.
But yeah, I think
Talk
it's-
about a game that takes way too long to play. Everdell.
Yeah, this game took me so long to learn how to play,
I feel like that's the toughest part.
and I feel like now that I know how to play, I'm
So
like,
easy.
this is very simple actually.
Okay.
Like, but it's confusing because they're like, there's crafting in the game too. Like, that's a whole nother thing that I didn't mention.
Yeah.
And there's all these like the core rules are really easy. What gets confusing is like, how does your rule interact with their rule?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I feel like it's so much easier when you have at least one person there that has played the game.
yeah,
You know, and not all of you going in fresh. That gets so
Yes,
difficult.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So a lot of YouTube videos, a lot
Yep.
of forums. But
That has been a more common occurrence for me. Anytime I'm open up a new board game, like I think a big group of us were gonna play Villainous and none of us had ever played. We just started pulling up YouTube videos and it's like,
It's the
okay,
move.
just 5-minute video, walk us through the whole thing, and then
Yeah.
you get the visual and the explanation on top of each other.
Yep.
I feel like that should be more
it's everywhere.
a go-to.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like I feel like that wasn't like a thing we would usually do, but then I thought about it and I'm like, let's just pull up a YouTube video, and now I do it every time.
the one other thing I want to add too that's kind of around like prepping and setting up. Like the other game that I would say is like has a lot of pieces and is really fun is Dead of Winter.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't like playing that game just because it takes so long to
Yeah.
get set up.
It does.
And I feel like Root is just so quick. Like it,
Okay. Good. I love that.
I think Root will fill that same place that Northgard does, where it's a strategy game that moves fast and it's not.
Ooh, man, that is a very.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like I feel like they kind of operate these same places where it's like I want to play a really in-depth strategy game, but I don't want to spend 3 hours in one game. I want to play fast,
Let's just
lose
lose
and win fast, and then I want to try something different.
Yeah.
So
man, that's a good comparison.
that's like I feel like those kind of vibe together.
Yeah.
So
cool.
I'm
pumped.
That's Root.
I can't wait.
We're gonna play some Root.
Yeah.
And then we'll get to the review in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But this is Ryan signing off.
This is Glenn signing off.
And we'll see you next time.